Welcome back, movie lovers. I'm Josh.
I'm Chris.
And with our powers combined, we are
Garner Brothers Movie Lovers.
Welcome back, movie lovers. Before we get started, don't forget to like the video. Today, we're going to talk about the movie The Creator. Well, before we do that, Chris, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
I've done a ton of driving.
Yeah, you've been going all over the place.
Yeah.
Is that going to be like a pretty common thing with your work?
Only a couple times a year. By the end of the week, I'll be in Illinois again. So by the time I get back from that trip on Saturday, I will have been to 8 states in 3 weeks and driven I don't know how many miles.
Smokes.
I will have been to Minneapolis and Bismarck and Sioux Falls and Omaha twice and Kansas City and Nauvoo. And I live in Des Moines, Iowa.
Holy cow.
So that's a lot of driving.
That's good. I have updated our YouTube page so it is better than it used to be.
Nice. Sounds totes profesh.
That's what all the cool kids are saying these days. The most profesh setup ever where you can't even see me when we're doing a Zoom call. Glad everyone's doing well and you're driving all over the world. All right, today we are talking about the movie The Creator. This movie takes place in a dystopian future. Artificial intelligence has dropped a nuclear bomb on the city of Los Angeles. Joshua formerly worked as an undercover agent, gaining intelligence from the AI army. The United States military gains the upper hand as their super weapon. However, there's rumor that the AI army is developing their own super weapon and eventually erase the human race from existence. The U.S. needs Joshua's unique knowledge of the enemy landscape and recruits him to find and destroy the AI super weapon.
The film was directed by Gareth Edwards. It was also partly written by Gareth Edwards as well as Chris Weitz. Gareth Edwards' last film was Star Wars Rogue One.
Maybe my favorite Star Wars movie.
More than the original trilogy, even.
Maybe.
Wow.
I said maybe.
It's definitely my favorite outside the original trilogy.
That's a definite, absolute guarantee right there.
Yeah. Film stars John David Washington and Madeline Una Voiles in her first film role, Gemma Chan and Allison Janney and Ken Watanabe. So the score is by Hans Zimmer, and there is actually an interesting note about this score. Gareth Edwards wanted this music to be written by AI. He actually hired a company that could have an AI programmed to write a musical score. And this AI produced at least one track of music for the score. And he wanted it to sound like Hans Zimmer. And his plan was to get the AI to write the score and assign some random name to the composer and not tell anyone that it was AI written until after the film had come out and it had been out for a while. And then he was going to drop the bomb that it was AI that scored the film. But he said when he got the finished product back, it was only he said it was pretty good. It was only about 75% of the way there. And he said, well, if I want it to sound like Hans Zimmer, I ought to just hire Hans Zimmer. And so he did. And I'm really glad he did, because that's going to be a sad day when computers can just write movie scores and nobody notices.
Erase people's jobs. Especially with all the strikes going on, it's probably really good that he went away from that.
Yep.
Because that is literally the main focus of the actors and writers strike that are concluding right now. Which is good. I hope it's all good, and I hope that people get paid what they're supposed to get paid, and AI doesn't take away everyone's jobs and also take over the world and drop nuclear bombs on people. That would be bad. Hopefully this writer's strike will protect us all from that. I'm sure it will.
Yes.
Okay. I quite liked some of those songs in the movie from Hans Zimmer. They were quite effective. Some very moving pieces in that movie.
The finale in particular, I think, is pretty strong.
Yeah. John David Washington and Madeline Una Voiles have some Academy Award-winning performances in this movie. It is so good. That's extremely impressive coming from a 9-year-old girl who's starring in her first movie ever.
Yeah.
Probably providing the best child acting performance I've ever seen from a movie. It's not she's good for a child actor. It's
she's amazing.
She is matching John David Washington's acting beat for beat throughout the film, and it's really incredible.
A lot of credit needs to go to Gareth Edwards, too. He got an amazing performance out of her. One of the most impressive things about this film is what they were able to do with the budget. Reportedly, this movie only cost $80 million. Now, $80 million sounds like a ton, but when you consider that the average blockbuster costs $200 to $300 million,
and looks way worse than
terrible.
this movie.
And apparently, it's partly because special effects companies are so stretched right now.
Yeah, they're bogged down with Marvel putting out more content in Phase 4 than they have in the first 3 combined, and they're not able to match the kind of quality that they used to. But apparently they took their time in this movie because it looks perfect. It looks perfect.
Well, apparently Gareth Edwards did a lot of things that would really streamline the process. He comes from a special effects background. He did special effects before he was a director.
It feels kind of like a Neil Blomkamp movie, like District 9 or Chappie. Crazy that they were able to do so much with so little.
Yeah.
This is probably the last good thing I have to say about this. I really like Gareth Edwards as a director and as a writer. The writing is great in this movie. The story is super, super well put together. The way in which the story unfolds to the audience is really interesting. That being said, if ChatGPT were to ever write a film piece of propaganda to alter the way we feel about artificial intelligence, it would never match the effectiveness of this film. I know it wasn't written by ChatGPT.
Do you?
Well, it says on IMDb that Gareth Edwards wrote it.
That's
someone
what
else, right?
it
But also-
says.
Apparently, he tried to get ChatGPT to freaking write the music for this movie, which blew my mind. I couldn't shake that feeling. For a significant portion of the movie, it really ruined the experience for me. It just was a really weird feeling the whole time.
Given that he wanted to have AI write the music and not tell anybody, it makes me wonder if some of the plot was written by AI and he was going to drop that bomb on everybody later on. I mean, that's what he was planning on doing with the music, right? We'll see. Probably not, but I did not have the same negative reaction to that you did. I will say, anytime there is a really clear good guy side and a really clear bad guy side, they didn't seem very realistic to me. I didn't entirely buy all of the motivations on both sides of the conflict. And we can get more into that in spoilers.
When you say that, are you saying the motivations on the U.S. military and the AI military?
Yes.
I don't think that's true for John David Washington's position.
No, I think
I completely bought everything he did.
His motivations really, I think, are very well established and very believable. And Alfie, the little girl, I believe her too. It's just the two sides overall that I just didn't totally buy.
Yeah, I could see that. I also, this is a nitpicky thing, but I'm gonna say it. There's a part in the movie where they go to a strip club and there is a robot stripper who is dancing for robots. And I laughed thinking, there's no reproductive organs on these robots. There's no sexual drive on these robots. There's no reason for this to be happening in the movie other than to make everyone in the movie go, "Ooh, that's weird." And I didn't like it. I understood a lot of the way the AI stuff was going, but you'll never convince me that AI is going to suddenly develop a biological instinct to reproduce when they don't have the capability to do so. That is one of the benefits of AI, that it separates you from these biological interests that humans have and is able to make more justifiable decisions without the influences of emotions like that. So, that was dumb.
Fair point. I'll add one more criticism of the film. I think the third act is a little rushed in how we get to it, and then a little slow once we get to it.
It drags for a while, for sure.
A little bit, which is funny because, I mean, the movie, for the most part, feels pretty taut, and there's not a lot of downtime, and it's pretty well paced, I think, right up until the very end. But I feel like we didn't quite have enough time to get into the final act of the film. I feel like it sort of hit us out of nowhere and took some pretty big jumps to get there. And then once we got there, I feel like it kind of really slowed down a few times, and it wasn't as tightly edited as it maybe could have been. And I didn't entirely believe that some of the characters were able to do what they did in that final act, but we can talk about that in the spoilers too. Overall, though, I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was really well made generally, and I just like original sci-fi. I like it when somebody comes up with
just
some sci-fi
original
idea.
movies in general.
Yeah. And every time it happens, studios are taking a big risk because it's not a property that people already know. It's not a sequel to something. It's not in some greater universe.
Not a remake.
It doesn't seem like the kind of film that would lend itself to having a sequel. I kind of want to champion films like this. I'm a little tired of the huge spectacle films and the, franchises where all the creative minds, they just take for granted that we're going to go see it because it's a big deal movie. And I'm getting tired of those movies because they haven't been very good.
Yep.
This one had more to recommend it than many of those other films have lately.
I'm pretty much done talking spoiler free. Are you?
Yeah.
All right. It's time for Good, Fine, Bad.
Good! Fine. Good. Bad.
Fine.
That's bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's bad.
Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Chris, how do you rate this movie?
I think it's pretty good.
All right. You think it's pretty good?
You should know going into the movie that it's not a happy film.
Right from the beginning, this is a heavy movie, and it just continues to get heavy. In fact, I would say some of that heaviness is overdone in one specific instance. I'm going to rate this at fine. I think the fact that I felt like I was watching a weird artificial intelligence propaganda film kind of spoiled what would have been a good rating for this movie for me. It's very well made. I can't say it's bad. It is a good movie that I just didn't quite enjoy that much. There you have it. So, if you've made it this far, thank you, gosh darn it. We're glad you made it this far. Go ahead and like the video, but be warned, from this point on, we will talk spoilers. So, if you intend to see this movie and you don't want to be spoiled, go away and come back and finish this video after you've seen the movie. But, you've been warned. So, before I forget, on the emotional heaviness of the movie, you have to watch Alfie say goodbye to her mother 2 times. And the second time feels overdone, because we just did it. When John David Washington has to be the one to turn off the life support for his wife, and his robot baby daughter is hugging him as he says goodbye. It is so sad. Then later, they have an ability in the movie where they scan the brain of a dead body to copy the brain they can plug into an AI. So this AI essentially becomes that person for a limited time. And that's done to his wife. Little girl plugs it into an AI that actually looks like her mother, but it doesn't work immediately, and the little girl can't wait for it to turn on, and she says goodbye again in that moment. It wasn't an effective moment because they already did it just a few scenes before.
Yeah,
But
fair point.
that's the only time I felt it.
At the end, I kind of realized this is Rogue One all over again. Everybody dies. Everybody dies to take
That's
down
true.
the big, scary Empire death thing.
Yeah.
And
if you're gonna watch a Gareth Edwards movie, get ready for people you like to die.
apparently, leaving the theater, I wished that I had just seen the third film in a trilogy. I wished that it had been like this huge epic story that had taken 3 films, and like then his death at the end would have felt like so appropriate, so earned. Like
Yeah, you're right.
in the end of this, like with one single film and with the setup to the third act feeling kind of rushed, I just felt like there could have been something to that story. And this is where my complaint from earlier comes up, not believing the motivations of both sides. The US is entirely evil in this.
So evil.
And the AI are entirely good. When they drop the big bomb on you that, no pun intended, the bomb that was dropped on Los Angeles was a human coding error, and that the AI had nothing to do with it. I kind of saw that one coming because you kind of start rooting for the AI at some point. But then when Ken Watanabe gives his speech and he's like, you know what would happen to the humans if the AI win this war? Nothing. And I was just like, oh, because you guys are so righteous. And the humans are doing everything bad. And I mean, not the
That's
humans
why it
who
feels
like,
like
the
a
AI. No,
propaganda
it definitely
piece,
does.
man.
Yeah, it
Holy
definitely does.
cow. At the end of the movie, Alfie is Jesus for robots. That's what the movie is. It's the savior of robots at the end of the movie.
Well, there's a lot of religious iconography in the film. There's a lot of discussion about heaven.
Oh, I loved a lot of that actually. Where Alfie asks Joshua,
Are you going to heaven?
he says, heaven is a place where good people go. And then she says,
Then we're the same. We can't go to heaven because you're not good and I'm not a person.
that was really good.
That's a great line.
And that moment at the very end when Alfie is standing on the hill looking at the robots, has just gone through the death of her mother and her father and all of that, and the emotion she projects in that moment is so good. You can feel the joy from succeeding in destroying the evil American army and saving her people, and also the pain and the hurt from what it cost. She's so good.
Yeah, she was remarkable.
I hope that Madeline Univoyles is at least nominated.
Me too. And the special effects.
Oh yeah, the special effects. I mean, give that
Yeah.
special effects Academy Award.
They
Good
absolutely
heavens.
should. There's a ton of effects in this movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were able to do it as cheaply as they did, it should
Yeah.
revolutionize Hollywood, is what it should do.
Anyway, we're done now. Thanks everybody.
Pew pew pew!